A simple pizza delivery turned into my worst nightmare, and a government experiment. It all started on an ordinary Thursday night. Or at least, that's what I thought. I'd spent the whole day glued to my laptop, working on code I no longer cared about, in a company that barely remembered I existed. By the time the clock hit 9:47 p.m., my head was pounding. I hadn't eaten since morning, so I did something I almost never do. I ordered pizza. Sicilia pizza, delivery in 45 minutes, the app promised. I scrolled, half hungry, half numb, and tapped margarita and Diablo, 2 cans of Coke, and hit order. It felt absurdly comforting, like I was reclaiming some small piece of normal life. I didn't know that tapping that stupid button would change everything. I tossed the phone onto the couch and leaned back. The apartment was quiet except for the faint hum of the refrigerator. Through the window, the street was empty. Just the yellow glow of the lamppost and a light drizzle that made everything look blurred, almost cinematic. Then my phone buzzed. An unknown number. Hello. I answered, cautious. Is this Sergey? A man's voice. Polite, steady. This is Yaroslav from Sicilia Pizza. Your order's almost ready. The courier's leaving now. Great, I said. I'll pay by card when it arrives. Perfect. See you soon. He hung up. I didn't think twice about it. Not until I noticed headlights outside my window. A car slowing down, stopping right in front of my building. The driver didn't get out. The engine stayed on. I shrugged it off. Maybe he was checking the address. A few minutes later, my intercom buzzed. Pizza delivery, a young man's voice said. I grabbed my wallet and went downstairs. The air smelled like rain and exhaust. The courier stood under the awning, holding the boxes. He looked ordinary, baseball cap, black jacket, a little tired. Here you go. 350 hryvnias, he said, handing me the boxes. I gave him my card. He swiped it through his little portable terminal. And then, right as I was waiting for the receipt, my phone buzzed again. A new message popped up on my screen. Are they watching you? I frowned. I didn't recognize the number. Before I could even read it twice, I heard a voice shout behind me. Don't move. Hands up. I froze. 2 men emerged from the shadows between parked cars, plain clothes. No uniforms, no badges. One of them raised a gun. The courier stumbled backward, dropping the terminal. What's happening? I stammered. Are you Sergey Baronov? The man with the gun barked. Yes, I. Turn around. Hands on your head. I obeyed, too stunned to resist. The gun pressed against the back of my skull felt real to real. One of them grabbed my arms and cuffed me. You're under investigation for involvement in a fraud network, the taller one said. Pizza delivery scam. Ring a bell? What? I shouted. I just ordered food. I don't even. Save it, he interrupted coldly. We've been tracking your number for weeks. They shoved me into the back seat of a gray sedan. The courier was gone, vanished into the night. The car pulled away, engine humming like a low growl. I tried to speak, to ask for a lawyer, for proof, for anything. But the one in the passenger seat turned and said, You'll have plenty of time to talk. At the station. The ride felt endless. The city lights flashed past the windows. Wet asphalt. Neon signs, the reflections smearing like watercolor. My heart thudded painfully against my ribs. None of it made sense. I was just an ordinary guy. An engineer. A nobody. How could I possibly be part of some delivery scam? Finally, the car stopped in front of an old gray building. No police signs, no logos. Just a dim light over the entrance. The taller man dragged me out and pushed me through the door. Inside, sterile walls, fluorescent lights, and a smell of stale coffee. They sat me down in a small room with a metal table and a single chair. Above me, a bright lamp burned my eyes. The man across the table smiled thinly. Let's start simple, Sergey. What were you doing the past few weeks? I swallowed hard. The story I was about to tell them, that I was just a guy who ordered pizza, would sound like a joke, but it was the truth. And that truth was about to cost me everything. The room was small, windowless, and bright. The single lamp above me hummed quietly, casting harsh shadows on the walls. The table was scratched, the metal chair freezing cold. 2 men sat across from me. The one who had pointed the gun earlier introduced himself curtly. Investigator Ivanov. This is my colleague, Major Petrenko. They looked like ordinary men, but their eyes, cold, emotionless, told me this wasn't their first interview. Ivanov leaned forward. Let's start again. Full name. Sergey Baronov. Occupation. I'm a software engineer. Remote job. Freelance mostly. Good. Then you'll understand this. He pulled out a printed document and slid it across the table. My name was there, multiple times. Beside it, there were lists of payments, company names, and addresses. The header read, Sicilia Food Delivery, Financial Report. Ever heard of these? he asked. I scanned the paper. Some of the addresses looked familiar, restaurants I'd ordered from, but others, entirely unknown. I don't know what this is, I said slowly. Ivanov's face didn't change. Of course you don't. He stood up, walked behind me, and lowered his voice to a whisper. Sergey, these companies are fake. They launder money through online orders, and your phone number, your bank card, and your IP address are connected to them all. That's impossible, I said, turning toward him. Someone must have used your data. He finished for me. That's what they all say. He circled me like a predator. We're not fools, Sergey. You ordered from Sicilia Pizza 10 times in the past month. You used different delivery addresses. You paid with different cards. And the courier from tonight. He's already talking. I froze. The courier. I whispered. What did he say? Ivanov smiled. Just slightly. He said you run the network. That you pay him to deliver fake orders. And he keeps a cut of the money. That's insane. I shouted. I've never seen that man in my life. The second investigator, Petrenko, finally spoke. His voice was calm, almost kind. Sergey, we don't think you're the mastermind. We think you're just part of it, a small player. Maybe someone used you. Maybe you helped them once. Maybe you didn't realize what was happening. He leaned closer. If you cooperate, we can make this easy. Tell us who's behind it. Who's giving the orders? I wanted to scream. There is no one. I just wanted pizza. Petrenko's tone hardened. You expect us to believe that? You just ordered pizza, and somehow your number appears in dozens of fraudulent transactions. They exchanged glances. Ivanov sighed and placed another document in front of me. A confession form. A single line was typed at the top. I, Sergey Baronov, admit participation in an online fraud scheme involving false pizza orders. He handed me a pen. Sign it, and we'll go easy on you. Maybe a fine, maybe probation. My throat went dry. The air in the room felt thinner by the second. If I don't, I asked. Ivanov shrugged. Then we detain you formally. You'll spend the night here. Tomorrow we call the prosecutor. You'll be charged with organized fraud. 5 years minimum. I stared at the paper. The words blurred before my eyes. This wasn't real. It couldn't be. Somewhere, someone was laughing. Whoever had stolen my data. Whoever had used me as bait. I thought of my apartment. The warm smell of pizza that was probably still there, untouched. The absurdity of it made me want to cry. I need a lawyer, I said finally. Ivanov's jaw tightened. You don't want to play that game. I'm not signing anything without legal representation. A long silence. Then, without warning, Ivanov slammed his fist on the table. The sound echoed through the small room like a gunshot. You think this is a joke? He roared. You think you can hide behind I didn't know? We have logs, bank data, timestamps. You're in this whether you like it or not. I didn't move. I just looked up at him, my hands trembling. I'm innocent, I whispered. You're making a mistake. He stared at me for a long moment, breathing heavily. Then he smirked, that same thin, cruel smile. We'll see. He stood, signaled to the guard, and they dragged me out of the interrogation room. They placed me in a small holding cell, concrete walls, a metal bench, and a flickering light. The hours passed slowly. I didn't sleep. I couldn't. Around 3 a.m., footsteps echoed down the hall. The door opened, and a woman's voice said softly, I'm here for Sergey Baronov. The guard stepped aside, and she walked in. Tall, dark hair, sharp eyes. She wore a black suit and carried a briefcase. I'm your lawyer, she said, offering her hand. My name's Irina Kovalenko. Don't say another word to anyone but me. For the first time that night, I felt something close to relief. But it was short-lived, because when I saw the folder in her hands, with my name printed in bold across the top, I realized something terrifying. This wasn't just a misunderstanding anymore. Someone had built an entire case against me, and it was only the beginning. Irina Kovalenko was unlike anyone I'd ever met. She spoke quietly but with precision. Every sentence measured, every movement purposeful, like someone who'd been in rooms where one wrong word could ruin lives. When she sat down across from me, I noticed the small silver pin on her blazer, a discreet symbol of the Ukrainian Bar Association, legit. She wasn't a random savior. Sergey, she said calmly, opening her folder. I've reviewed the preliminary report. What they have on you looks serious. I wanted to shout. Serious. I didn't do anything. I just ordered pizza. She didn't react, just kept flipping through papers. They claim your phone number was used to register. Multiple shell companies linked to fake food deliveries. They also have payment receipts from accounts tied to your name. I leaned forward, desperate. Those aren't my accounts. Then we'll prove it, she said, without hesitation. Her certainty startled me. She looked up from the folder, locking eyes with me. Tell me everything. from the start. Don't skip details. So I did. I told her about the long day, the hunger, the order from Sicilia Pizza, the strange text, "Are they watching you?" and the sudden ambush. When I finished, she nodded once. "That text message," she said. "Still have it?" I nodded. "Yeah, on my phone. But they took it. I'll get it back," she said simply, standing up. "For now, don't talk to anyone. Not the investigators, not the guards, no one. You'll be out soon." And somehow, I believed her. 2 days later, I was released under her supervision, officially pending further investigation. I wasn't free. Not really. They fitted an ankle bracelet on me, forbidding me to leave the apartment. But after that cell, my dusty living room felt like heaven. Irina visited the next morning, carrying 2 cups of coffee and a laptop. "We have work to do," she said. She set the coffee on the table and opened a document on her screen. Dozens of transaction logs, time stamps, and account numbers. "These are the transfers made under your name," she explained. "But look here. The IP addresses don't match your location." I leaned closer. Each payment had a different source. One from the city center, one from the industrial zone, another from a rural area I'd never even visited. "They used my identity," I murmured. "They cloned my digital footprint." "Exactly," she said. "Whoever set this up knew what they were doing. This isn't random identity theft. It's organized, systematic, and deliberate." She pulled up another file. "This name appears repeatedly in the records. Levin, ever heard of him?" I shook my head. "No. Who is he?" "Possibly the coordinator," she said. "There's a company registered to that name. It handles logistics, consulting, which is usually a fancy way of saying money laundering." She leaned back, thinking aloud. "These fake food orders, they're a perfect cover. Everyone orders pizza, right? No one questions a delivery charge or a small transaction. They use normal people's details to make it look legitimate. And tonight, somehow, you became the perfect scapegoat." I felt sick. "Why me?" "Probably random," she said. "Maybe they hacked a food delivery app database. Maybe you once used public Wi-Fi. Once they have your name, number, and card digits, you're in the system." She closed the laptop. "The good news is they made mistakes. Too many. And we'll use them." That evening, she called me. Her voice was low, almost a whisper. "Sergey, I tracked one of the couriers. He agreed to meet." I hesitated. "Is that safe?" "No," she said. "But it's necessary." We met the next morning in a small cafe on the outskirts of the city. The courier was young, early 20s, nervous, hands shaking as he stirred his tea. "I didn't know, okay," he blurted out before Irina even asked a question. "They said it was just delivery jobs. No taxes. Quick cash." They gave me names, addresses. I never met the customers. "Who's they?" Irina pressed gently. The courier swallowed hard. "Some guy called Levin. Never saw his face. Everything was through Telegram. He sent the addresses. I delivered the boxes, got my cut in crypto." "Crypto," she repeated, raising an eyebrow. He nodded. "Yeah. He paid in USDT, said it's cleaner that way." Irina glanced at me. That one sentence, "paid in crypto," was gold for her case. It proved the money flow was off the books, disconnected from any real pizza orders. "Do you still have the chats?" she asked. The courier nodded, then handed her a USB stick. "I saved everything, just in case." Irina took it. "You did the right thing." When he left, she looked at me and smiled for the first time since we met. "That's it. That's our opening." "What do you mean?" "This," she said, holding up the USB, "is proof that the fraud was active long before you were ever involved, and that the real perpetrator communicated through anonymous channels. If we trace the crypto wallets, we can find Levin. And then," she said, her voice low but firm, "we turn the whole case upside down." The next few days felt like living inside someone else's nightmare. Irina came and went with quiet efficiency, carrying flash drives, folders, and endless cups of bitter black coffee. I tried to stay out of her way. She was building something bigger than a defense. She was building a counterattack. She worked from my kitchen table, her laptop screen glowing through the night. I'd catch glimpses of code, spreadsheets, maps of IP addresses spreading like spider webs across the city. Each time she clicked, I felt the net tightening, not around me, but around whoever was out there pulling strings. One night, I asked her softly, "Do you ever sleep?" She looked up, eyes sharp despite the exhaustion. "Sleep is for people who aren't being watched." That sentence hung in the air longer than I wanted. By the 4th day, she had something. "I found a pattern," she said, sliding her laptop toward me. On the screen, I saw a series of transactions, each one tied to fake pizza orders, each one leading to a different crypto wallet. But every wallet had one thing in common. They all funneled into a final address marked LVN Holdings. That's him, I said quietly. Levin. Irina nodded. And he's not hiding as well as he thinks. The main wallet connects to a physical location, a small office space, registered downtown. He made the mistake of paying the rent from the same chain of transfers. So what now? She smiled slightly. Now we watch him. The next day, she arranged something insane. Through one of her contacts in cybercrime, we got permission, unofficially, to run a small sting. The idea was simple. Send a fake pizza order through the same network, track where it goes, and intercept the courier before the handoff. You'll stay here, she told me. I'll handle the field work. But I couldn't sit still. I watched her leave through the window. That same determined posture, like she was walking straight into a storm. Minutes turned into hours. The apartment was silent except for the ticking of the wall clock. Then, sometime after midnight, my phone vibrated. A message. Unknown number. You shouldn't have talked to her. My stomach dropped. Another one followed. This doesn't concern you anymore, Sergey. I called Irina immediately, but she didn't pick up. Panic clawed at me. I tried again, nothing. The calls went straight to voicemail. I was pacing by the window when I saw headlights flash in the alley below. A dark van, parked directly across from my building. For a moment, I convinced myself it was just paranoia. Maybe a delivery. Maybe someone lost. But then I saw the silhouette in the driver's seat. Not moving. Watching. That was enough. I grabbed my jacket and ran. The air outside was cold, biting through my skin as I hurried down the empty street. I didn't have a plan, just fear and instinct. I made it to a side cafe that stayed open late, ducked inside, and sat near the back. I texted Irina again. Someone's outside my place. Where are you? No reply. 10 minutes later, my phone buzzed, finally. It was her. I'm fine. Don't go home. Relief flooded me until I read the next line. They followed me too. We met 2 hours later in an underground parking lot she'd chosen for privacy. Her car lights were off, engine running. She looked pale but unbroken. They knew about the sting, she said. The courier didn't show, but someone else did. Someone who knew my name. How? I asked, breathless. How could they know already? They have eyes inside the investigation, she said grimly. Someone's feeding them information. Her laptop beeped softly, another alert. She turned the screen toward me. The crypto wallet had just moved the funds. Not to another wallet, to a bank. She zoomed in on the transaction, and my heart froze. The account name read, S.N. Korovin. My full name. I don't understand, I stammered. That's impossible. It's not you, she said quickly. It's a synthetic identity. They clone your entire digital profile. It's how they're washing the crypto, through fake versions of you. I just stared, numb. My name, my ID, my history, all turned into a puppet for someone else's money. Irina exhaled slowly. They're getting desperate. We're close. I met her eyes. So, what do we do? She leaned back, a dangerous calm in her voice. We set a trap, but this time, they won't see it coming. The next 48 hours felt like a countdown. Irina barely spoke. She moved through my apartment like a storm contained in a human body, focused, sharp, and silent. Her laptop stayed open day and night, code flickering across the screen as she coordinated with someone on an encrypted line. Finally, she said, "It's ready." I looked up from the couch. What is? The trap, she said. A fake identity. Yours, but not yours. A digital clone we control. We'll make them think they've got you back under their thumb. She turned the laptop toward me, showing an interface full of graphs and blinking dots. This will mimic a transaction pattern from your supposed account. Once they interact with it, transfer crypto, access, or even check the balance, I'll trace their node. One signal, 1 second. That's all I need. I stared at the screen. And if they don't bite, her smile was cold. They will. They can't resist cleaning stolen money. We launched it at midnight. Irina uploaded the fake credentials into the same delivery app, database the fraud ring had been using. Within hours, the bait was live, a brand new Sergey Korovin, supposedly sending payments to pizza chains and shell companies. I didn't sleep. Every sound outside my window made me jump. Then, at 3:14 a.m., Irina's laptop beeped. They took it, she whispered. They're in. I leaned closer as numbers scrolled across the screen, rapid, alive. She was tracking IP hops, reroutes, and encrypted channels in real time. They're masking their trace, she murmured. But it's sloppy. They're rushing. The map zoomed in, line after line converging on a single location. Got it, she said. Industrial zone, warehouse 17, outskirts of Kyiv. I felt adrenaline flood my veins. That's them? She nodded. That's him. Levin. We didn't call the police immediately. Irina said the evidence wasn't strong enough yet. We needed a direct connection, not just a digital footprint. So, against all logic, she decided to go there herself. I'm coming with you, I said. She shook her head. No, you've already been targeted. They think you're the pawn, we'll use that. But I couldn't just stay. After everything, the arrest, the fear, the sleepless nights, I wasn't going to hide anymore. If I don't face them now, I said quietly, they'll always own me. She studied me for a long moment and finally nodded. Fine, but stay behind me, no matter what. The warehouse stood at the edge of a half-abandoned industrial park, rusted gates, broken lights, the smell of oil and rain. It looked empty, too empty. Irina parked blocks away. We walked the rest on foot, moving between shadows. When we reached the side door, she pulled out a small device from her pocket, a Wi-Fi sniffer, humming quietly. Signals strong, she whispered. They're working inside. She glanced at me. Ready? I nodded, though my heart was trying to escape my chest. She pushed the door open, and we stepped into darkness. The only light came from computer monitors at the far end of the room. 3 men sat around a table, faces half lit by the glow of the screens. One of them looked up, tall, lean, wearing a hoodie. He said softly. Mr. Korovin. Irina froze. He knew our names. The man stood, smiling. You shouldn't have come here. You could have lived quietly. Let it all disappear. She raised her phone slightly. You're under live recording. This entire building is being monitored. He laughed. You think that matters? Then he clicked something on his keyboard, and every monitor in the room flickered. A red window appeared, data transfer in progress to 76%. Irina's expression changed instantly. He's wiping the servers. She rushed forward, slamming her laptop on the table, plugging in a cable. The man stepped back, amused. You're fast, he said, but not fast enough. Sergei, now, she shouted. I didn't think. I ran to the power box by the wall and pulled the main switch. The room went black. For a few seconds there was only silence and the sound of breathing. Then the dull echo of footsteps. When the lights came back on, emergency backup this time, the monitors were dead, and the men were gone. Irina cursed under her breath. They escaped through the back. But, did you get anything? I asked, panicked. She stared at her laptop, breathing hard. Then her face changed. I got everything. She turned the screen toward me. A list of names, bank accounts, crypto wallets, and messages signed with one username, Levin. This is it, she said. This blows the entire operation wide open. But before I could even respond, a phone rang. It wasn't hers. It wasn't mine. It was coming from one of the laptops left on the table. Irina hesitated, then picked it up. A voice, distorted but calm, came through the speaker. You think it's over, Irina? You just opened the wrong door. Then, click, silence again. By the time we left the warehouse, dawn was breaking, pale light creeping over the concrete ruins and broken fences. Irina drove in silence, her hands tight on the steering wheel. Neither of us spoke. The weight of what just happened sat between us like a shadow we couldn't shake. We'd exposed them, but we also knew we'd crossed a line. When we reached my apartment, Irina didn't even sit down. She opened her laptop, plugged it into the wall, and started uploading everything to a secured drive. This, she said, pointing at the progress bar, is going straight to the prosecutor's office and to journalists I trust. Journalists? I asked. Is that smart? She gave a tired smile. It's not about smart. It's about safe. Once the story's public, they can't bury it, or us. I nodded, though my stomach was twisting. What if they come after us? They already did, she said simply. Now it's our turn. The files went viral within hours. By noon, headlines began spreading online. Cyber fraud ring using food delivery apps exposed in KU. Hundreds scammed in massive crypto laundering scheme. Identity cloning network busted. Main suspect still at large. The evidence we pulled from the warehouse had names, dozens of them. Accountants, fake couriers, even a few low-level police contacts. It was bigger than either of us imagined. But Levin, the mastermind, was nowhere to be found. Every lead ended in the same dead end, an encrypted message, a deleted account, a wallet that vanished into the blockchain void. It was like he'd never existed at all. 3 days later, I was officially cleared of all charges. The authorities apologized, politely, mechanically, for procedural errors. I signed the papers with a numb kind of relief. When we left the courthouse, Irina handed me an envelope. For you. Inside was a printed copy of a headline. Local man wrongly accused in cybercrime becomes key witness in exposing network. I smiled faintly. You're good at this. She shrugged. Justice isn't about winning. It's about not losing. We stood in silence for a moment, The sun was low, the city humming around us. For the first time in weeks, I felt like I could breathe. Will they ever catch him? I asked quietly. Her expression darkened. Maybe. Maybe not. Men like Levin don't get caught. They just change names. That night, I tried to sleep for the first time in what felt like forever. But around 2 a.m., I woke to the faint vibration of my phone. A message. Unknown number again. You're welcome. No name, no context, just that. I sat up, heart pounding. Could it be him, Levin? Or someone playing games? I typed back before I could think. Who is this? No reply. Then, after a long minute, another message appeared. You were never the target, Sergey. You were the test? And then, nothing. The number disappeared. When I tried to trace it, it didn't exist. Irina couldn't find it either. She said it might have been a spoofed relay, impossible to track. But the message kept echoing in my mind. You were the test? Weeks passed. Life slowly crept back into something resembling normal. I went back to work, though every time I ordered food online, my hands hesitated over the confirm button. The city moved on. The news cycle moved on. But Irina didn't. She kept digging, deeper than ever. Sometimes she'd call me in the middle of the night, asking if I remembered some minor detail. Sometimes stomp, some strange phrase. She was obsessed. Then one evening, she stopped answering my calls. A full day passed, then another. On the third day, I went to her office. The door was unlocked. Inside, the lights were still on, the air thick with the hum of machines. Her laptop sat open on the desk. On the screen was a message window. One single line. Do you really think you won? No sender. No reply. And Irina was gone. I reported her missing, of course. They searched. They found her car parked near the river, keys in the ignition, phone on the seat, but no sign of her. The official story said possible abduction related to the case. Unofficially, nobody wanted to talk about it. For months, I tried to move on. I really did. But sometimes when I check my email late at night, I still see it. That same strange address sending ghost messages that vanish seconds later. Sometimes they're empty. Sometimes they contain single words. Like tonight, at 3:07 a.m., I got one again. Subject, body, are they watching you? The cursor blinked at the bottom of the message. For a long moment, I just stared at it, paralyzed. Then, another email appeared instantly. From Irina's old address. Don't reply. Don't order anything. They're back. And before I could even react, the message deleted itself. I sat there, frozen, the glow of the screen the only light in the room. Outside, somewhere down the street, I heard the faint hum of an engine. A van, idling, waiting. The same kind of van I'd seen that first night. My phone vibrated again. A new message, this time a video file. I hesitated, then pressed play. Static filled the screen. Then a dimly lit room. A woman's voice, weak but steady. Irina, if you're seeing this, Sergey, it means they found me again. It's not about money anymore. It never was. They're testing systems, identity, surveillance, compliance. They needed someone ordinary to prove it works. She coughed, her face half in shadow. Don't trust the apps. Don't trust the screens. They already know what you'll do next. The video froze on her face. Then it cut to black. And that's when I noticed the final line of text that appeared beneath it, flickering once before disappearing. End of test number 47. Subject response recorded. For a long time, I just sat there in silence, the air heavy, the world suddenly to quiet. I realized then, maybe Irina wasn't gone. Maybe she was still inside the system, just on the other side of the screen. And maybe, so was I.